Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into something that's, well, pretty fundamental for every single one of us, reproductive health. We're going to piece together the whole picture using insights from some foundational biology texts.
All right, so let me ask you something. When I say reproductive health, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of us, it's just the biology, right? The organs doing their thing. But what if I told you that's just one tiny piece of a much bigger puzzle?
Well, it turns out the World Health Organization has a much bigger definition. For them, it's not just about a healthy body, it's about a state of total well-being. Think about that. That means your physical, emotional, behavioral, and even your social well-being are all wrapped up in this idea. It's a complete 360-degree view.
Okay, so here's what we've got on deck today. We're going to unpack what that definition really means, look at how a country like India has put these ideas into action, explore all the options for contraception, talk about navigating some tough health challenges, and finally, take a peek at the future of fertility. So, let's kick things off by looking at how a whole country has tried to tackle this, using India's long history as a kind of blueprint.
You know, it's actually kind of incredible. India was a real trailblazer here, launching one of the very first family planning programs in the entire world way back in 1951. And this wasn't a set it and forget it kind of thing. They've been constantly checking in, seeing what works, and making improvements over the decades. It's all evolved into these really broad reproductive and child healthcare programs that exist today.
And these programs today, wow, they're not messing around. They're trying to build this whole support system from the ground up. We're talking about getting good information out there, providing the actual facilities people need, and even bringing sex ed into schools. It's also about supporting couples, taking care of moms and kids, and tackling really tough social problems head-on, like banning the misuse of amniocentesis to prevent sex-selective abortions. That's a direct shot at improving that social well-being we were just talking about.
Okay, so that's the big national picture. But let's zoom in now. What about you? What about the individual? What's in the toolkit when it comes to making personal choices?
So what exactly makes a contraceptive ideal? I mean, this quote pretty much hits the nail on the head, right? It's got to be easy to use. It needs to be available to people. Of course, it has to work. And in a perfect world, it's reversible with few or no side effects. It's all about empowering people with safe, effective control. And this is a great way to see how it all breaks down. You've got these different buckets of options. There are natural methods, which are all about timing. You've got barrier methods, which, create a physical block. Then you have IUDs, which work inside the body for long-term prevention. And finally, surgical options, which are meant to be permanent. Totally different approaches for different needs. Now, let's compare two of the most popular reversible methods for women. On one hand, you've got the pill. It's super effective, but it's a daily commitment. On the other hand, you have IUDs. A doctor puts it in, and it can work for years, kind of like a set-it-and-forget-it option. It's actually one of the most widely accepted methods in India for couples who want to space out their kids. It just goes to show there's no one-size-fits-all answer.
And this is super cool, a real game changer that came out of India. Scientists there developed Saheli. It's the world's first non-steroidal oral contraceptive. That's a huge deal because it means fewer side effects, plus you only have to take it once a week. You can imagine how much easier that made things for so many people.
Okay, so we can't have a real talk about reproductive health without getting into some of the tougher topics. And when you're trying to navigate these challenges, having clear, solid information is like having a compass. It's absolutely essential. Let's just start with this number, 45 to 50 million. That's a huge number, right? Well, that's the estimated number of medical terminations of pregnancy, or MTPs, that happen around the world every single year. Just to put that into perspective, it accounts for about 1 in every 5 pregnancies. So how does a country approach this? Well, in India's case, MTPs were legalized way back in 1971, but, and this is a big but, with some really strict rules in place to prevent misuse. The whole framework is built around safety, especially making sure it's done in the first trimester when it's safest, and for very specific reasons, like contraceptive failure or, tragically, in cases of rape. It's also seen as essential when a pregnancy could be harmful to the mother or the baby. Okay, switching gears to another huge challenge, sexually transmitted infections, or STIs. And the data here it's pretty stark. The incidence rate among young people, folks in that 15 to 24 age bracket, is incredibly high. It just hammers home how critical prevention and education are for this specific group. But here's the thing. The good news is that prevention is actually pretty straightforward. It really just boils down to 3 simple ideas. Being smart about your partners, always trying to use a condom, and this one's so important, if you have any doubt at all, go see a doctor. Getting checked early makes all the difference.
All right, so we've talked about family planning, we've talked about staying healthy, but what happens when the challenge is the complete opposite? What about infertility? For our last section, let's look at what science and society have to offer.
So for couples facing infertility, it's not the end of the road. There are a bunch of different paths to parenthood. Sometimes there's a medical issue that can be treated and corrected. Other times, advanced science like assisted reproductive technologies can step in. And of course, there's legal adoption, which is just another beautiful way to build a family.
And the one you've probably heard the most about is ART, or assisted reproductive technology. This is the umbrella that covers things like IVF, the famous test tube baby procedure. It's where fertilization happens outside the body, in a lab, and then that tiny embryo is transferred to the uterus to hopefully grow into a healthy baby.
And that kind of brings us right back to where we started, doesn't it? We've seen how personal health choices, big government policies, and just incredible, cutting-edge science all have to come together. So I'll just leave you with this one question to chew on. When you put all those pieces together, what do you think is the single most important ingredient for building a truly healthy society for everyone?